Hello everyone, my name is Ben and I am a soon-to-be graduate in mathematics and physics from Dundee. And this is very scary, as everyone keeps telling me, because I'm going to have to leave home. Now, unlike most of my friends who already live in flats or they've left home and are already adults, I haven't. I've been living at home for the past 22 years and it's been great. And what other people like to also tell me is I'm going to be very messy because of it. Because I've been pampered for so long and cared for that I'm going to be messy. And I like to think, actually no, it's going to be the complete opposite of that. I've had such a high level maintained for me by my parents that when I leave at home, I won't be able to live with anything apart from that. I'm going to be going nuts, just cleaning constantly, because I just need to maintain that lifestyle. I'm going to drive my girlfriend insane, because I'll just be going around in the dead of night, ironing all the socks, because we need to play socks. And then I'll do the tea towel, because they've got to look pretty. And then the dishcloth, because the dishes can't see unironed dishcloths before they go in the water. It's all got to be straight and prepared. But the best part, I think, about living at home is the fact I can get my parents to view reports for me before I need to submit them. So I get this lovely free spell checker. It worked quite well most recently in my dissertation, which I managed to get them to read twice, despite the fact it's about 50 pages long, and I only read it once. I told my father I read it twice, because that's the way he would read it again, but I read it again, I glanced over to make it all the same. So I don't know how they did it, because the title for it was Dynamic Spectral Imaging for the Quantification of Biological Activity in Roots and Soil, which is a bug that fits on a page, because it's quite long, and it's also a complete lie. First of all, nothing was dynamic. Secondly, there were no roots, because someone thought it was a good idea to give a physicist something biological and try and grow plants. So that was just destined to fail from the start. And that didn't work quite well. But I decided, since I didn't know any of the biology, and I had to write a 10-page introduction, I would try to embellish the start to really hook people into it. So what I decided to do was I go for a cracking opener, and I've been doing this for the past couple of years now, which is, without blank, life on Earth would be impossible, because that way you demonstrate the importance of your work. So, for example, I wrote a report in Podger, which was, without the sun, life on Earth would be impossible, which is justifiable. Then this year it was, without plants, life on Earth would be impossible. Again, they're an important thing. And then I tried to sell the idea to my friends, because I thought it was really good and I wanted to share it. And so I told them, you know, without magnetic resonant imaging, life on Earth would be mildly inconvenient. Impossible with a real hard question, but we tried. And then once I managed to get through the introduction, we got to the actual main part of the paper, and that's where it all went really quickly downhill. Because for the first year, I wasn't allowed into the lab without the PhD students who worked in Invergowrie, so barely ever was actually in Dundee, so I did no work. And this was most prevalent in our group meetings we had, which were once a fortnight. And it was me, some lovely PhD students, some postdoctorates, a lecturer, a visiting lecturer, and then me, the undergrads, looking all happy and chipper. And they'd all go around giving these 20-minute talks about what they'd been doing. And bearing in mind, these were held at 3 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. And I just wanted to get out of there. They were the most dire things to go to. But everyone would be going around, they'd all be having these great debates, and everyone would be discussing, and it would work so well. And then they'd come round to me, and it'd be, so Ben, what have you done this fortnight? And I'd kind of look up, and I didn't really know what I was going to say until the words came out of my mouth. So the first one was, I've written this really dull paper about some plants, and oh wait, no, you wrote that paper. It was cool. It was a good paper, love that one. And then panicking, I'd be like, oh no, I did something. I managed to take a photo of a golf ball on my optics bench. And this was done to standardise the size and make sure there was something of consistency scale in all my pictures. And when I told my lecturer this, he sort of looked at me as if I was crazy. And I said, no, you told me to do this. Apparently it's something commonly done in St Andrews. And when I told him that, he continued to look at me blankly. It was the most mad idea he'd ever heard. And it was foolish of me to suggest he told me to do it. And I was just sort of crying in the meeting going, no, you told me, don't make me look bad in front of everyone. It was your idea. I didn't want to. Because I convinced the fourth year to also do it. So the two of us were trying to scramble for life as if we were brilliant for this. But eventually we did get into the lab, and it was in the second year, and it was all good fun. And we started doing enough work, and originally our laser didn't work, so we sacrificed our PhD student to turn it on, ramped it up to full power, just let him deal with it, because he was the adult. And then we had to actually follow lab safety procedure, filling out risk assessment. Now my girlfriend tutors, and she does standard grade and GCSE sort of level work. And one day she was tutoring a student in optics, and she sent me a little picture from the textbook, and she was like, oh, you'll like this, it's quite funny. It's the 5 rules you should follow in a lab. and I glanced at it because I was doing some homework, and I thought, oh yeah, pretty good. And then I went back to read it, and I thought, hang on, I don't think I've actually done any one of those. And before I continue, this is obviously a fictitious story, so now my lecturer can't take away my degree post after I've done it. So I'm keeping it. But I can't remember the rules, so I've written them down so we can get them all correctly, and I can say why we didn't do them. So, number one is, you should always wear your safety goggles, which I think is a very ambiguous statement, because I can wear them on my head, doesn't mean they're covering my eyes. I have them there, if he walks in, flick them down, always wearing them, I am safe in regarding that one. Number two was never shine the laser towards somebody. This was somewhat done, apart from they were trying to align it and we just leave it flying right across the lab, and then if someone walked past, you're like, oh, that's real danger, that is. It's not at high level. And then there was one day where we still haven't figured out why, through some weird reflection, we managed to get, and I saw this when my friend walked past, I stopped him because the Predator symbol had somehow appeared on him, and we thought it was a crazy photo opportunity. So we just standing in front of the laser trying to align all these grey shots, hoping the laser wouldn't start burning his jumper. We'd have some very suspicious conversation in our next group meeting. Number three was avoid reflective surfaces, which in a room full of metal and mirrors is just stupid on its own, so we leave that one. Then number four was have warning signs. And this is one we had been told to do, but didn't know whose job it was to do. Do I do it because it's my laser? Does the PhD student do it because technically he's the superior? And it went on like this for a good year until about a week before the dissertation was due, and I was just stubborn at that point and went, you know what, no, we won't allow him for a year because of him. It's his job, he can do it. If anyone calls me out, I'm just going to call his number and say, oh, he didn't do it. And then number five was always turn off your laser when not in use. And again, I was feeling stubborn and thought, no, I waited a year to turn this thing on, I'm going to leave it on, even if I'm not using it. I'll just be sitting in the lab, screwing something and be like, turn it on. There we go. And lock the door. But eventually I did manage to actually write something, and I got my page, and it was decent enough. And this had taken me about a good 2 weeks of just solidly writing and refining it, and getting people to read it and swapping, and that was all fine. And then we were reminded we had a talk to give. And the university, being the loving soul they are, said, you have spent 2 years doing a bit of work, you'll need to give a nice in-depth talk, but you have 8 minutes. So I was almost prepared to just bring along my slides and give you the honest version, because that's also 8 minutes. But I decided against it, and so I made this, and we all rushed these because we were reminded last minute, so we did them about 2 days. So 2 months for the dissertation, 2 days for the talk, and one of my friends broke my heart by saying they're both worth 30%. So we all just screwed ourselves for the talks, hoping they were worth much less than they actually were originally. But I made it, and I did the talk, and it was a fairly decent talk, I'd like to think. But it was best summarised by the fact my marker and my second marker were sitting in the audience, and at the very end you get questioned, as you do, and the only question the two of them decided to give on my 2 years' worth of work, which defines my entire degree as university says, is, why the hell is there a golf ball in all your photos? And if that doesn't summarize my project, I don't know what does. Thank you very much.